All right, Recon Athlete, episode 117. Chris Sanchez. Shout out to Paul Rodriguez and Zach Lucetto. Paul is out this morning. He wasn't feeling well. Zach is right now he's doubtful. He might call in, but I think somebody saw this opportunity to take the spotlight. BJ, you there?
Huh?
BJ, you there?
Yes, I am.
What's up, dude?
How about you? Hey, I was actually trying to call you before the show started. I didn't know about the other guys.
Yeah.
I hope Paul's okay. I mean, it sucks being sick, and especially these days. I know just with my kids, they have the sniffles, and you try to be, you're realistic about it, but in the back of your mind, you're always worried. So, best wishes if anyone's feeling bad,
Yeah. No, he said he was just feeling a little bit under the weather, which I get, because we just had that cold front come in yesterday. I mean, my allergies are pretty bad. You can kind of hear it in my voice. I went and got some menudo this morning, threw a bunch of fresh jalapenos in there just to kind of, get myself a little cleared up. So,
making me hungry just you describing that. I want to go eat again.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. So, but yeah, man. So what did you want to call in about?
Oh, well, I was actually calling to talk to you real fast.
About that trade.
Football and about trades and about football. I mean, we can add a fantasy football segment here, but I think that also ties into real football and COVID and possible game delays and what's going on with all that. So all sports relevant,
Yeah. No, I get you. No, and I saw that.
We can add a.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I said I saw your trade offer, which, you know what, BJ, and I always give you a hard time, and I give you a hard time about your trade offers. And the one you gave me this morning wasn't actually too bad, so I'm going to have to, give you your props right now. So,
it's all about where you value players. And and I think right now, where players are, with a few exceptions, is kind of what they are. And I was one of the people at the beginning of the year who talked a lot about Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
And I think my projections are dead on. I said, this is going to be a number 2 running back that you can play all year long. And that's kind of what he is. No one's going to say this is a top 10 or even top 12, top 13 running back in the league. But as far as a solid number 2 RB that you can play in fantasy, he's right there. And I think he's a good real life running back. He's just on an absolutely terrible team.
Yeah. And, Antonio Gibson, and the other one that you offered me was Terry McLaurin, who's the receiver for the Redskins. And there was one more guy.
Yeah, man, I think I might have thrown in even Le'Veon Bell in that. And that's kind of like a wild card right now.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that, but you were asking for Jonnu Smith and A.J. Brown.
Who
were tight end for Tennessee and a wide receiver for Tennessee. And the Tennessee Titans looking pretty good. Both those guys would be on my bench. So, I'm going to have to give you your props, man. I'll have to look at that again.
Hey, give me a counter. And I'm in 7 leagues and I make so many trade offers that they kind of confuse me a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But where I'm finding myself in a couple of leagues is I have great teams with great depth, but I kind of lack that top end talent in some spots.
Yeah.
So I am trying to package to get the one player because, in my mind, there's not a ton of difference between, some of the players. To me, there's not a lot of difference in a, McFarland or whatever, F1 is what I call them.
Yeah.
Right. And Antonio Gibson, if they're on your bench, if they're your bench players.
Right.
So I'm trying to package those 2 guys for a guy that I would feel stronger about starting. So the value's there. It all depends on what people have. And tight end's a wasteland after about, 6, 7 guys. So anytime you have a chance to get a tight end who has value, especially on teams that might have 2 of those tight ends, I think you got to take a chance at it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 117, Chris Sanchez. I got BJ on the line. BJ was just trying to call me because he wanted to talk some football and the trade that he offered me, which, like I said, wasn't bad. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it, when we get off air here. Paul Rodriguez is not feeling well this morning. Hopefully just allergies. And Zach, he was just, he had a long night. I was listening to him and Snoop on Flex ATX last night. So, I know they had a long night last night, just covering Central Texas high school football.
Zach and Paul, all y'all in some way, they do that radio grind. But I know Zach and then Paul, it's just challenging, right? To be up on the radio till midnight, 1 a.m., and then have to turn around and do another morning show. And I have dabbled in radio. In all fairness, I was not very successful at it, but like I did dabble in the radio business for a while. And a lot of people think that it's all kind of fun and games sitting down in front of it, but that's not the truth, man. It is a massive grind. Yeah. And you're talking about 50, 60-hour weeks to put out ultimately 2 or 3 hours of product a day for a show. So it's a really challenging job.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to do it and it's not your full-time paycheck job. And that's a lot of work.
That's true. That is true. And, we're here at Recon Athlete kind of do this. We got some couple of sponsors. We could use some more, but we can always hit us up, hit up Paul, hit us up on our DMs, Recon Athlete here on Facebook, if you're interested in sponsoring us. All right, BJ, let's talk a little bit of college football. Clemson Tigers taking on Georgia Tech. Clemson is a 27-point favorite at 11 o'clock. I fully expect Clemson. I mean, I think they've outscored their opponents by 116 points so far. Trevor Lawrence is probably, the best, or actually the number one number one prospect coming out of college. And Clemson, Clemson is going to take care of Georgia Tech. BJ,
I actually took the points for Georgia Tech. I actually think they're going to cover. I think it's a backdoor cover.
Cover?
Don't get me wrong. I think Clemson's going to blow them away. But this is one of the ones with 27.5 points. Teams know each other a lot. A lot of those kids play together. It just kind of has backdoor cover written all over it.
So you had Yeah, you had 27.5. So I'm showing 27 on ESPN. So I'm thinking a lot of so if it's gone down to 27, I think a lot of people are kind of on that train with you, BJ. That Georgia could come back and backdoor cover that. And
yeah, it's a backdoor. Well, it's a game that come on, they lose by 24 and they cover, because they score a touchdown or 10 points in the last 10 minutes of the game or something like that. I mean, it's just, to me, that anytime you're giving up close to 30 points. I mean, I don't care who it is. I mean, that's just laying a lot of points for a team that Georgia Tech has athletes. Georgia Tech has players on that roster that will play in the NFL. Maybe certainly not as many as some of the other programs, but I mean that's just a lot of points. That's a lot. I'll take the points and I'll take my chances with a nice little $5 bet on that.
Yeah, Pitt taking on Miami. Miami's a 13-point favorite. Stop me, BJ, if you got any of these. I'm surprised that you bet college, man. I know a lot of people stay away from college football.
Man, I typically do, and I do enjoy betting. Most of my stuff's on the NFL. I usually make 3 or 4 $5 bets on college games, and that's just kind of to keep it fun. And I've rolled the dice, and I've been lucky on those this year. But it's not for my. I don't really dig into the college numbers very much the way the way I can in the NFL. But yeah, I make a couple of bets, and the game I'm really betting on is the one I'm sure you'll come to, is the one later tonight.
Yeah, I'm just going over the 11 o'clock games right now. Auburn and South Carolina. Auburn is a 2.5-point favorite. That's not a whole lot for the Tigers. Kentucky and Tennessee at 11 o'clock game. Tennessee a 6.5-point favorite right now at home. I'm just going to go over Navy Midshipmen, East Carolina Pirates. Not really going to mention that one, even though I just did. Sure. Texas State. We got to talk Texas State. They're taking on South Alabama. South Alabama, a 4.5 point favorite, and Texas State sitting at 1-4. The line is 57.5, and that's pretty low for a college game.
Hey, if you have watched any Texas State games this year, they are one of the best 1-4 teams.
Yeah,
I mean this team, they are coached up.
Yeah,
those kids play with heart. They are playing teams so far this year that are above their talent pool, and as far as how established the programs are, recruiting based, things like that. And, man, they've really competed. I like Texas State. They are a fun team to watch. Don't know anything about the teams they're playing.
Right.
But that is worth a solid hour or two of your time just to watch them because, man, they play a fun kind of offense. They really do.
Yeah, they do. And I've watched a little bit, half there, half there. And I've been impressed with them. The record, if you just look at the record, they're 1-4. Talking about the Texas State Bobcats here. But, like you said, I mean, they've just a bounce of the ball here, a bounce of the ball there, just getting in the end zone. I mean, missed tackles. That record could be totally different. I think they're trending in the right direction. I don't know anything about South Alabama either, but 4.5 points doesn't seem like a whole lot. South Florida.
Well, and also credit to their coaching staff, right? Yeah. Because we talk a lot and we criticize teams like Texas for coaching and development. You watch Texas State and you see a ton of these kids who are 1-star, 2-star players, 3 stars. You have a couple sprinkled in there that are freshmen and sophomores, and you see them getting better incrementally week to week. And I think if you've watched every game they have this year, I'm willing to say every single person coming away is saying this is going to be a really strong foundation for the years to come, because their entire team is like freshmen and sophomores at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, something like on their defense, they start they're starting 11 on defense, 2 are upperclassmen. I mean, so this is a team that is really laying the foundation for the future. So credit to them and what they're building.
Yeah, absolutely. 11 o'clock game, Kansas Jayhawks, West Virginia, Big 12 matchup. West Virginia.
Oh, God, man, put me to sleep. Dude. Kansas, man,
West Virginia's 21-point favorite. So I know you probably don't have any, anything on this, BJ, but if you were to, which way would you go?
Oh, well, I'll take West Virginia. Kansas. Come on, man. What are we saying?
You've always kind of had an affinity for West Virginia, though, or is it just because of the?
Yeah, well, I have family that's from that part. I have family that's from that part. You know how it is when you're a little kid and your uncle is from the place over there, and they always wear that. Kind of the same thing with Iowa. I've always had affinity for Iowa because I got family from there too.
And and you always love singing the song by John Denver. We used to always sing it.
Well, of course, Rocky Mountain. It's a great song.
Yeah, and of course, Virginia is your wife's name, so.
Yeah, Virginia is my one and only, the most wonderful woman in the world. Let's get it right here. Okay?
I know. 12:30. I have to mention this game: UTSA and Army. Army is a 9-point favorite, and we're talking about kind of central Texas area. I guess San Antonio's not really central Texas, but I mean, talk about Texas State Bobcats, but UTSA, another up and coming program, I think as well. If you check out Recon Athlete, they're also getting some pretty good recruits from the area, and UTSA is impressing the college recruiting scene around here, in my opinion. So Army 9-point favorite at UTSA Roadrunners. You got anything on that, BJ?
No, well, I think you hit the nail on the head with what UTSA is doing around local recruiting. Like we talk about a lot of these kids. Like I've mentioned a kid that I've seen play live a couple of times for Wimberley, Christian Marshall, who is just amazing to watch play at the high school level. And he's just not at the physical stamina to go to a place like A&M or UT or something like that. But gosh, he's just so good. And UTSA is going around and they're offering all of those kind of kids. And what that's doing is that's building pipelines through all these schools to UTSA, to where kids growing up and those coaches are going to have relationships, and that's going to improve them as years go on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and now we start getting into the big boys a little bit. About 1:30, Louisville and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 16.5-point favorite. Let's see, I got to mention the Razorbacks, of course. Got to shout out to Wes. Ole Miss and Arkansas. Ole Miss is a 1.5-point favorite, even though Arkansas, I guess they both are 1 and 2. Arkansas has been impressive, so I don't know about that.
Yeah, Ole Miss and Arkansas, the I Kissed My Sister Bowl. Good luck to them.
And 3 o'clock, okay, Aggies. All right, Aggie, I'm talking to you. They went out. They had a great win last week at home against Florida. You're on the road this time. You're going to Mississippi State. You're a 5-point favorite. And if you're Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M Aggies, BJ, they do not want to have, at this point, a setback, which would be losing to Mississippi State. Now, Texas A&M is only a 5-point favorite. And this line, BJ, is kind of, or this over-under is pretty low, in my opinion. It's 56.
Trap game, man.
Yeah, at 56 points, that's not very high for, especially one of these offenses being Mike Leach's, air raid. You know what I'm saying?
No, these offenses, each of those offenses can put up 40 every week and not blink an eye, I got trap game. Stay far away from that on the betting as you can. And hey, as much as I don't like the Aggies personally, my brother is an Aggie, and I will always root for it from Texas over anybody else. And I want the Aggies to make a run. But this game's got to be scary coming off a really emotional.
Yeah. So
and face a quality opponent.
Yeah, you got to. If you're the Aggies, you got to come out there and just keep that high that you had from last week, that win over Florida, and just keep it rolling and make sure that you get another win and keep that momentum going. If you're Texas A&M, because it's helped them.
It's a business day. This is a business day. This is the team they're supposed to be. If they are who we think they might be, and who I think they think they are, they win this game. So let's see. If they go out and they win this game, I think that establishes them to be a legitimate top 10 team with a roll the dice, and let's see what happens later in the year kind of outcome, you know?
Yeah. And I got to mention, before we talk about the big one tonight with Alabama and Georgia, I got to mention North Carolina and Florida State. North Carolina, 13.5-point favorite. I think this is a huge game for Mac Brown and his program. They're in North Carolina. Florida State kind of reeling, not the Florida State that we know, but, you know, just like you're talking to BJ with A&M and Mississippi State, this is a game for North Carolina that's a business deal. They need to go in and beat Florida State handily.
Yep.
They
ain't going to beat them.
Just to make sure that, you know, they are who they think they are, like you said, and I like the way you put that. All right, Georgia and Alabama, BJ. Alabama, 5-point favorites. I like Alabama. I don't care who's on the sideline. I think Nick Saban.
I'll take Alabama. I'll take Alabama lay the point.
Yeah, I don't care, you know, if Nick Saban's going to be there or not. It's coming in this morning that his COVID test was probably a false positive because he's had 2
doesn't matter to me
negative tests.
Guys, and I'm a big believer in this, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I've coached at any kind of level anywhere, even in the same galaxy or universe as Alabama, but I have coached before, and I'm here to tell you we've sometimes put a lot of emphasis on coaching, and we should, but when it comes to the actual game day, okay, the coaching is not as important as some people want to make it out to be.
Yeah.
Right? The coach's job is done all the way up leading to game day. And then on game day, a coach is there to make 3 or 4 decisions, right? The other 90 or 100 decisions that are made, those are going to get made the exact same way anyway without the coach, right? A coach is there to say, okay, we're going for it on 4th and 2, or we're going to run a fake play, or we're going to take a chance and do all-out blitzers. They make 5 or so of those calls a game. Other than that, the coach has done before, and Alabama is going to be ready. They're going to be prepared, and they are just loaded with talent, man. I mean, they are just. I think they boat race them today, man. I think they beat them by 2 touchdowns, maybe more.
All right. Well, yeah, that's going to be the big game tonight. You know, I'll be over at the restaurant watching it while I'm working. So we still got some more football to talk. BJ, hopefully you can stay on with me. It's a Recon Athlete episode 117. Chris Sanchez, BJ on the line. Paul Rodriguez and Zach Luceto are out this morning. They're both, you know, designated out now. Zach was doubtful, but I've gone ahead and say that he's going to be out. We'll talk
put him in the IR spot.
Yeah, we'll put him in the IR spot. Well, we'll talk the high school next week or next Wednesday when both guys are in. I do want to talk to Zach about that Vandergrift game. Huge win, Vandergrift over Vista Ridge. It was just really a one-sided affair. So I want to talk to Zach about that, and of course. We'll talk to Paul about everything that happened last night on a Friday night. All right, BJ, let's talk some NFL, brother. Chicago Bears and Carolina Panthers tomorrow. This one is pretty much a coin flip here. I know
stay away from it. Stay away from it on the betting line.
Yeah, Panthers are a 1-point favorite. What do you think? What are your projections tomorrow? I mean, what do you think about David Montgomery? I like David Montgomery, Chicago Bears running back.
I actually there is a great little teaser on Montgomery right now, over and under. I believe it was at 95 total yards. I'll take the over on that all day long, dude. Yeah. All day long. I think Montgomery is going to eat tomorrow.
Yeah, there was
a game.
Yeah,
I'll stay away from on who wins.
That's true.
I'll pick that.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater. Hey, he's doing more than I thought that he would do. I mean, when they made that signing over the offseason, I was like, man, whatever. I just thought Carolina was, trying to make themselves trash and, just to tank for Trevor. But, well, apparently it's not a thing.
Bridgewater's a professional quarterback, man.
Yeah.
He is going to be one of these quarterbacks that has a successful 10, 15-year NFL career that no one is ever going to talk about being the top quarterback in the league. No one's going to talk about it. You know what he is? He is maybe like a Trent Green, but maybe not quite as good. Yeah. Where no one's ever going to talk about Hall of Fame. No one's ever going to say he was the best. But he just lines up every year and has these successful years back to back to back because he is a professional, man.
Yeah. And on the Carolina side, we still got Christian McCaffrey out. Mike Davis has more than stepped in, thankfully for me and a couple of my fantasy teams.
Yeah, Mike Davis is dude, fantasy winner, dude.
Fantasy wiener. The Allen Robinson, Chicago Bears wide receiver is just going to keep giving you points, especially that Nick Foles is taking over the starting job. Shout out to Nick Foles, Westlake alum.
That's right, man. Westlake alum. Good for him, man. It's kind of crazy. Like, what do we have? 3 Westlake quarterbacks in the NFL. 2 of them start, right? Because there's that one other dude that's like a backup. Yeah. Breeze and Foles, and then Isn't there some other guy that's like a emergency or a practice squad? I forget his name.
I'm not sure.
Whatever. He was a kid after Foles. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
Maybe he's in the CFL or something now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Lions, Jaguars, BJ. Lions are a 3.5-point favorite. Do you like Gardner Minshew in this if you were doing a DFS? Lineup?
Yeah. I think he's a great guy to have in DFS because especially now in a cash game, I stay away from him.
Yeah.
But in a tournament, to get him and then maybe like a Keelan Cole on the cheap, because on a tournament you have to hit on some of those ones where you're like, really him? Like you have to hit on some of those,
Yeah.
And I will be making a few DFS lineups that have the Minshew, the Chenault, or the Minshew to Cole stack, and just kind of see what happens there.
Yeah, and for you talk about the cash game side, I mean, would you consider Matthew Stafford a cash game option for this?
Yeah, cash game option. Yeah,
low.
Write him down for 20 fantasy points.
Right.
Yeah.
So low. We're talking, a high floor, low ceiling, right? With Stafford.
Cash game. It's real hard for me to not make a lineup that doesn't have Mike Davis in it. I've had a couple that have Stafford in it. You can get Jonnu Smith for he's like the 6th or 7th price tight end all day long in a cash game.
Yeah.
So there's some really fantastic cash games out there. Tyler Boyd is somebody else I love in a cash game for what you're paying for him, for what his production is, his stability, his floor. So there's a lot of great cash games option out there. But the danger side, when there's so many great cash game options, that sometimes makes it a little bit harder because there's so many of these very level matchups this week in the NFL.
Yeah. All right, Falcons, Minnesota. That's going to be Falcons, or actually Minnesota is a 4.5-point favorite. Falcons plus 170 on the money line. Julio Jones, I got him in 2 of my leagues. He doesn't have a injury designation, but I'm going to keep him on my bench. And I think
keep him on your bench.
And I think any of our listeners, I think you should too, just because they say he's healthy. Now, granted, he'll probably come out tomorrow, BJ, and get have 8 catches for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns on my bench.
Yeah, I'd wait for him though. In fantasy, buy low if you can. But in real life football or anything you're putting money on right now, you got to wait. You have to wait till you see him healthy.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just I will take that on my bench, if he can stay healthy, because what I don't want is have him in my lineup, get 2 catches for 40 yards and then go out because of the re-aggravated hamstring. All right.
Now, also in that game, Alexander Madison might have 40 carries in the game. I mean, there's 20. A lot of ways that, there's a lot of ways in this game script where Minnesota literally has the ball for 45 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just, because they have a bye after this, Madison's fresh, they're resting Cook. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is no reason not to just run Madison until he literally collapses on the field. Yeah. And they might do that. And he is also a quality NFL back. You're talking about a back that could start for at least 10 teams in the league, if not more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. Texans and Titans. Titans are a 4-point favorite at home. Not a whole lot. I like Deshaun Watson in this just because, he might throw 2 interceptions, but he'll also have 2 touchdowns, and one of them will probably be running.
This is my, I guess we call it a lock of the week. I mean, I don't really like doing that, but this is one of mine where I'm taking the Titans and the points. I think they win by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, that was just an impressive win last week against the Bills, putting up 42 after they couldn't even, practice together for a couple of weeks. Washington football team and the New York Giants, cellar dwellers.
Battle for the number 1 pick?
Yeah.
Oh, no, the Jets are still there. The Jets are there, but whatever. Battle for the 2nd worst team in the league.
Yeah, Giants are a 3-point favorite. Although there is some fantasy value here. I think there's there could be a lot of fantasy value.
Darius Slayton, both defenses will lunge at people and not make contact.
Right.
So, play them all.
I mean, Darius Slayton, Evan Ingram on the Giants side. I mean, you could even roll the dice on Golden Tate. On Washington side, Terry McLaurin, a couple of the guys that you offered me this morning, Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson.
I will say if you're hurting at running back, maybe the injuries combined with buys or something like that. I really like the J.D. McKissick play for 1 week this week for a PPR. I mean, he's going to get 10 PPR points. I mean, write it down. Yeah. He's going to get 10 PPR points. You'll cut him next week, but if you need a running back right now, he's a great guy to slide into your lineup just to know that you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah, and I picked up the Giants defense in a couple leagues just to hope for a couple sacks or maybe a interception or fumble recovery. Don't expect a lot out of them. if I get double-digit points out of them, that's like, oh my gosh, I like struck the lottery. But
the Washington defense is a good play too because they have a fantastic defensive line, and Daniel Jones leads the NFL in fumbles over the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then also Daniel Jones, I mean, like sometimes it's almost like he competes with himself to see like which defender he can give the ball to quickest, And with the Washington defensive line, they'll all help him out and make that decision for him,
Absolutely. All right, Cleveland and Pittsburgh Steelers are a 4-point favorite at home. There's I don't know. I mean, everybody ran out to get Chase Claypool. I know I put a waiver wire, claim for him. Didn't get him, of course. But, I mean, you think that was a flash in the pan, BJ, the Claypool? I know the 4 touchdowns, he's not going to be able to do that again. But
yeah, we got to split it. Obviously, a solid pickup. Obviously, someone everyone would like to have on their roster. Yeah. If anyone expects any player in the NFL to do what Claypool just did again, then you're fooling yourself.
Right.
You don't get 4 touchdowns on 7 targets. You just don't do that. But great for him, great play. But he is, in my opinion, somebody you start as long as Deontay Johnson's out.
Yeah.
So he is going to get 7-8 targets again. Now, when Deontay Johnson comes back, those targets go down to 3 or 4, and that is a bye-week fill-in or a flex play at best. But as long as Johnson's out, he's going to get those targets. But here's one thing about the Steelers. I think it's time people start talking about them as legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
All right? Like, hands down, well, maybe not hands down. You cannot say that they are anything worse than the 3rd best defense in the league. I'll say they're the best, right? Mm-hmm. Loaded with talent everywhere. I mean, all over skill positions. If Roethlisberger continues to breathe and they don't suffer multiple injuries on their offense, they are going to push for the Super Bowl, right? I mean, because they have a defense that can walk out there and straight up win games by themselves.
Yeah.
Like that defense, if you score 20 points, your defense is going to win you 9 out of 10 games as good as their defense is.
Yeah.
And James Conner is quietly having a very good season. They are loaded with receivers, and Ben Roethlisberger, I mean, he is just being who he has always been, a consistent throw the ball quarterback, and he hands the ball off, lets the defense play. Hey, Super Bowl contenders, let's say it.
As long as he's, playing his role, he doesn't need to be Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Drew Brees, or he doesn't need to have all of those big stats. And I think, for a while there, for a few years, after he was putting that pressure on himself like he needed to be because the spotlight was on him.
All he needs to be is Trent Dilfer. He needs to be Trent Dilfer.
Yeah,
he needs to go out there, throw for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if he does that, they're going to win 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah,
because of that defense.
And you talk about that defense. Speaking of that defense, I mean, Baltimore Ravens and the Eagles. The Baltimore Ravens are a 10-point favorite right now over the Eagles. That's a lot of points, especially when you're getting double digits in the NFL. Baltimore Ravens, their defense is back to what they used to be. Dominating. I tried to get them off of Emo's team the other day. He wouldn't have it.
Yeah, man, their defense is dominant. But it's really interesting, too, because how their defense is doing it. One reason the Ravens' defense is so good is because their offense holds the ball for so long that their defense is always fresh when they go out there. They never have quick turnarounds.
Yeah.
And then because, typically speaking, their offense is always ahead, the Ravens can always pin their ears back and, blitz and apply hard pressure.
Yeah.
I don't think their defense is as near as good as Pittsburgh, but they're putting up those kind of numbers just because of the kind of team that they're on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And the fantasy angle, are you a believer in Travis Fulgham, that wide receiver for the Eagles, who is kind of taking over that X spot from Alshon Jeffrey?
Nah, not really. I mean, I could be wrong. Well, I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong because it's a great story. Yeah. It's a great story.
Well, I mean, I've heard that he's taking over Alshon Jeffrey's position at the X spot. That's what I've heard. That's what the rumors are right now.
Well, maybe he is until Jeffrey comes back. I don't have my rankings in front of me. I do submit rankings every single week to Fantasy Pros. I'm actually 24th on the season right now at a 4,000 entry, so I feel pretty good about that.
Oh, you're pretty. But you're really nerdy.
Well, like I said, dude, I'm trying to make money off of fantasy. Like I'm submitting articles to people and things like that.
Oh, nice.
Whatever.
Why don't you submit them to Recon Athlete and we'll post them?
I will. Hey, Fantasy Sharks, which is a different website,
Yeah.
put up one of my articles a couple of weeks ago. It was a deep sleeper thing. It was a couple of paragraphs, and they're cool like that. But it's hard to make money in that kind of stuff, man. The people that do it, the people that do it are professional journalists.
Yeah.
Like, work for ESPN,
Yeah, and then they also have like algorithms and stuff that they have on their computers and stuff. So.
But I had him ranked. I had him ranked in the 40s. So flex play if you need him, I guess. But I just think you could go back through the years. There was always these guys that for whatever reason, one week or another, they do it and you never hear from them again. I think he's going to be like that. If he's not, I will root for him 1,000% because it's a fantastic story. Like undrafted guy, works hard, works his way on, gets his opportunity, takes advantage of it. We need as many of those stories as we can get because it's positive. But in reality, there's a reason why people aren't drafted. There's a reason why people are bounced from practice squad to practice squad.
Yeah.
He got his chance and he took his opportunity because it's not just about talent. Talent is great, but if you don't have opportunity, talent means nothing. He got his opportunity. He made the best of it, and let's see what he does. But I can tell you, in my 7 teams, I didn't put in a single waiver wire claim for him. So that's kind of what I think of him.
All right. Bengals and Colts. Colts are 7.5 point favorite. Broncos, Patriots. Patriots 9.5 point favorites. They are doing okay. They are doing okay as far as the COVID goes. I think they had a practice facility shut down again, but then I think it was. Yeah,
I actually put money on the Broncos to cover the points. I think this game's a backdoor cover as well, and a lot of it is because I think it's how the Patriots play and run their offense and stuff. I just. I think the Patriots win. I think they control the entire game. I did put money on the Broncos because I think the Broncos cover. I just think they covered 9.5.
All right, so go ahead.
So yeah, that's what it is. Especially like, Patriots. So much is important about being in a routine and in consistent practice. The Patriots have had the massive breakups to their routine and practice schedules. Now they're professionals and they do have the best coach in the NFL, so they're going to be attuned to business. But you can't replicate the kind of just chaos they've been through and the organizational structure things for all the COVID things. And so I think that affects them a little bit. And I think it allows a team like the Broncos, who is not near as good as them, to keep the game close on the scoreboard, but ultimately not really close on the real game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. And then is there only 2 games in the afternoon? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the Jets and the Dolphins, which is probably going to be only the state of New York and only the state of Florida going to have that showing, because the other game is Green Bay versus Tampa Bay. I think they said it was like maybe the only 3rd or 4th time, something like that Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady have met on the field. That's crazy.
Hey, Battle of the Bays, man. I think that's going to be a great game, and I hope we get the game we're supposed to get out of that.
Yeah.
I really do. In my opinion, without a doubt, the 2 best quarterbacks of the last 20 years.
That's
with
true.
Respect to Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, they're not in that category yet, just because they haven't been playing long enough yet.
Just because of where they're at in their careers.
You have the best wide receiver in the NFL right now when he's healthy, and Devontae Adams. Aaron Jones is very exciting. Chris Godwin's coming back. Mike Evans is putting on a shirt that says, "I might be the toughest dude in the NFL," because he is playing through every single injury possible and still putting up numbers. Just 2 great coaches. I mean, I just hope we get the game that we're supposed to get.
Yeah.
And it should be fun.
Yeah, it's a 1.5 point spread. Green Bay is.
I took Green Bay on the money line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, they're minus 120 on what I'm showing right here. Rams and 49ers are the night game. I mean, you kind of yawn on that one. Tomorrow.
Yeah, yawn. Fantasy implications only, really.
And then Monday night, of course, all us Cowboys fans will be able to watch this. Cowboys at home. This spread, BJ, I'm looking at -1 for the Arizona Cardinals.
That's insane. I put money on the Cowboys on the money line.
Okay, +100. I'm showing on the money line for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Sarge who traded away his guy Pat Mahomes because he was rolling with Dak, which I don't blame him because Dak was having.
Well, here's the deal. When he traded Pat Mahomes, he also had Dak and Cam Newton.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, I don't blame him. But he said he's rolling with the red-headed bomber, or the redhead bomber, red rifle, Andy Dalton.
Roll with the Randy Dalton. Hey, if anybody later in the year when Andy Dalton finishes as a top 12 to 15 fantasy quarterback, if they say they didn't expect that, then tell them that they're idiots. Yeah. All right? Look at the numbers. Okay, so 2 years ago, when Andy Dalton, his last full year with the Bengals, when he had A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd healthy, and those two receivers, maybe A.J. Green at his top level was better than any one receiver the Cowboys had, but no one's going to say A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd, when both healthy, are as good as what the Cowboys have right now. The guy was on pace for 35 touchdowns and 4,500 yards.
Yeah.
Last year, with beat up A.J. Green and other things, man, he was still on pace for like 30-something touchdowns. He's you know what he is? He's kind of like I talked about earlier, those quarterbacks like Trent Green, or those quarterbacks like Teddy Bridgewater, where they get criticized unfairly.
Mm-hmm.
They're never an all-pro. They're never one of those guys that you talk about as being the best in the league. They are solid professional quarterbacks, and he will stand there, look at all of those weapons that he has, and he is going to do very good. Because here's the deal. They're going to hand the ball to Zeke, right? This is going to be a kind of a throwback to like 1990s era offenses.
Mm-hmm.
Hand the ball, play action.
Right.
Hand the ball, quick slant. Like I'm not worried about the Cowboys offense at all. And we've never worried about Cowboys offense. It's a defense.
It's a defense, yeah.
It's a defense.
Yeah.
They're still in the exact same boat that they've been in all year. They have to score 30-plus points to win. And Andy Dalton's going to help them score 30-plus points.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no way Andy Dalton walks out of this game without 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Unless Zeke runs for 5. I mean, the Cowboys have the most offensive talent in the NFL, bar none, as far as playmakers.
Yeah.
Period.
And if you're doing a show, yeah, go ahead.
They have other fallacies.
Yeah, if you're doing a showdown on this game on DraftKings, Kyler Murray, I mean, I think he's going to have a big game. So.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, it will. With a showdown, it's like, do you pick Kyler Murray or do you pick Zeke to be that 1 times 5?
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be the difference. But here's the deal: on the showdown, it's going to come down to who plays either Christian Kirk or Dalton Schultz. Like, which one of those guys gets the weird touchdown? Yeah. Or is this the game where Fitzgerald, gets 5 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown? That's going to win showdown games. Is those other players like that, you know? But here's the deal, man. The Cardinals are still a couple of years away. Kyler Murray is the real deal. Still needs to develop. Okay. DeAndre Hopkins, if anybody wants to tell me I was wrong for saying Devontae Adams was the best receiver of football and DeAndre Hopkins is, cool, fair. I'm not going to argue with you. There's a very short list. Okay, he's right up there. But other than that, they're incredibly flawed. Christian Kirk is an average NFL receiver at best. Fitzgerald belongs in the Hall of Fame, but he's only playing now to get the all-time records in a year or so. That's it. The Arizona defense is terrible. The Arizona they have no running backs. All right. I mean, their best running back is their backup running back, and he is basically a pass-catching running back, Chase Edmonds. Kenyon Drake's for fake, So they are multiple position players away and a few years of development away from being a real team. Dallas should win this game.
Wow.
They should win this game. This is a team they should win. They are better up and down their roster spots. The only position Dallas is not better at is that quarterback, and it's their backup quarterback.
Yeah, and Vegas thinks so. They've got a good chance as well because this is pretty much a coin toss.
And this is a game. The point total is pretty high. This is something to be contrarian. Take the under, because I think the points when I saw it was at like 58 or something like that.
Yeah, I think because I'm showing 55 now, so I think a lot of people are going under.
Yeah. Okay, well, 55. That I might stay away from the over under on that. 58, yeah. I was really tempted to take the under. Again, would anybody be shocked if this is like a 21-14 game and it's one of those games where Zeke has 27 carries, 150 yards, and that's why? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nobody would be shocked if that happens. Like, that could be what we're looking at. If I'm the Cowboys, that's what I want.
Yeah. I want Zeke. I'm feeding Zeke. I want him doing the feeding Zeke signal all night. That's what I want him to do.
Hand the ball, play action. Okay, then bring in Tony Pollard. Hand the ball, quick slant to CeeDee Lamb. Okay, Zeke come back in, hand the ball, that's the game plan. Heck, a middle school coach could call this game.
Yeah, and we'll see what McCarthy has up his sleeve, and if the Red Rifle is, we need him as Cowboys fans. We just need him to be the game manager. We need him in.
Well, hey, what a cool thing too for Andy Dalton from the Metroplex area.
Yeah.
Of course, played at TCU, and to fulfill a lifelong dream of his. And I know a lot of times we talk about athletes, and even me as well. It's like win the game, fantasy, like sports betting. That's all fun. We should always talk about the kind of people they are too. Andy Dalton is a fantastic human being. He has led multiple fundraisers up in Cincinnati, here in Austin, and in the Dallas area through TCU for Autism Speaks, and done a lot of outreach, a lot of things like that. So we should always mention the people who use their fame and fortune to create real positive things for the community. And he's one of those guys.
Yeah. Shout out to Andy Dalton for doing all that stuff. All right, BJ, Vasily Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez tonight. I know you're going to be watching this fight.
Yeah, man. I'm actually I'm slowly becoming a much bigger kind of like fight fan and boxing fan.
Okay.
Is this a resurgence in boxing?
This is
like, is it just me, or am I looking around and like the middleweights through the welterweights and all that? There's just talent everywhere.
There's a lot of featherweight. There's a lot of young talent, and I think with Top Rank, they've done a great job with this fight because they put it on ESPN and not just ESPN Plus, to get it in front of as many people as possible. Because with Lomachenko, he's a little bit older, but he's got that star power. And Teofimo Lopez, if he's able to, upset Lomachenko in this fight, he has got the personality to where, he can be the type of superstar that, every promoter wants. And
this is the thing. It's like, I think Lomachenko is going to win, but like, as I say that, I already feel like disappointed for making the wrong pick. You know what I mean? Because I do think that's how close this fight is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one big overhand right from Lopez, to change this fight completely. So it's going to be fun, man. I mean, I'm going to be, definitely going to be watching this fight tonight. I mean, I definitely recommend all of our listeners and all our fans to be watching this fight. If you're into combat
you should
sports.
Definitely watch it. And this is a great contrast of styles in a lot of ways, where Lomachenko is by far the superior boxer, I believe.
Yeah.
Giving up now, not to say that he can't slug and can't throw heavy hands, but he can. But that's not really his game as much, So you're going to see basically one fighter trying to outbox and trying to maneuver, and you're going to see the other one probably really looking for that counterpunch to change it. And so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be one of those things, I think, where the first couple of rounds go to Lomachenko. He's going to box, but those counterpunches are going to keep getting set up. And then what happens as soon as, because he's going to get hit hard, right? So how does he recover? Not from the first big counter punch, but from the fourth, the fifth, the sixth one in like the middle rounds. And then how does that change the fight going down the stretch? Because I think if this fight ends in a knockout, it's going to be in towards the end of the round. If it goes the distance, then I think if this fight goes all the way and Lomachenko's going to win, he's going to outpoint him. Yeah, he's just going to outpoint him.
Yeah,
but we'll see what happens.
The over under on this is 10.5 rounds. So I mean, I think that's you're going along with what you're saying there. So yeah, if you're a huge boxing fan, even if you're not, if you're a semi excited boxing fan, kind of like Zach Luceto, I'm going to tell him that he needs to watch this fight tonight. All right, BJ. Well, I'm going to sign off here, man. Appreciate you calling me, dude.
Hey, thanks for letting me talk. I enjoyed the show so much. I have to make a live appearance one day.
Yeah, you do.
But real fast, I have to give the big shout out to anyone listening to the Loma Lobos. They've been fighting hard. Coach Salmon down there has built this team up. They've won 2 games, hard-fought games. They lost a real close one, and they're looking forward to the future. And for all of these football teams out there that we see that consistently lose every year, have bad records, but those kids that keep putting in the work, when you keep putting in the work and you keep believing, you get that chance, and it all pays off in the end. So real proud down here in Hays County of Loma Lobos and what they're doing to build the program.
All right, man. Cool, man. All right, BJ. Well, let me call you back here in a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about that trade offer that you gave me. All right.
Yeah, man. Let me know. I'll pay more. What do you need?
All right, brother. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, man. Later.
All right. I want to give a quick shout out to Paul Rodriguez and Zach Luceto, also to Snoop Daniel as well. Shout out to Flex ATX, and of course our sponsors, Texas Point Outdoors and Krite Market. We'll talk a little bit more high school football, of course, when Paul and Zach are back next Wednesday. And, enjoy the football that's going to be going on today, college, NFL tomorrow, of course, the Cowboys on Monday night. I didn't get to talk about my Astros because every time I talk about my Astros, something, never mind. I won't even talk about them. Let's go Stros. Got one more. Let's make history. All right. We out, y'all.